Okay, so today we're talking about Google Ads and Google and keyword planner. So we've kind of discussed other things in the past that has similar capabilities, and I will open my presentation and start talking about that. But I've got to share it first, right? Doing things a bit backwards today. Let's do that. Awesome. Oh, don't know why this always pauses whenever we start. Try that again. And
there we go.
Can you see that, Trace?
Yes, perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. So Google Ads and Keyword Planner today. So we've been through Google My Business and setting it up. We've been through a little bit of search engine optimization and how this all fits together. I took you through Search Console. Some of the stuff that's in Search Console we will talk about again today, which is in Google Analytics. And Google Analytics has this wonderful tool called Keyword Planner. So in Search Console, when you have a look at that and you've connected it to your website, you'll see how people are finding your website. There's a list of keywords that people are using to find you. If you use that as your base to kind of expand in Keyword Planner, that's always a good place to start. So I'll touch base on that as we go through the session today. So Google Ads first, and it's again one of those free tools that Google offers. It's part of the Webmaster tool set that's been around for a while. So why is Google Ads there? It's another way for you to reach your customers by paying for that. So search engine optimization generally focuses on organic traffic. How do you attract customers to your website and to your Facebook pages and your social media and all that kind of stuff, where Google Ads is a way to reach those customers that don't follow you. So we all know we've got our Facebook pages, for example, and we've got 150, 500, or 1,000 followers. They don't always buy from you, and we all know that. So if you want to reach somebody outside of that arena, you'd run an ad. And Google Ads is very much the same, where you pay for clicks, or you pay for views, or you pay to get people to your website. So it's an advertising platform. So Google obviously earns money off of this. This is how they get their money back for offering you the free tools. They take a share of the money. I'm sure we've all seen things on YouTube or an ad on a Google search. It's usually the first three lines that pop up when you search for something. There's a little block on it that says ad. That's if somebody clicks on that, that company is charged for that click, and Google takes a percentage of that. So this is just a basic view of what you can expect in your Google Ads once you've got it up and running. And this is the place where you can kind of monitor how things are going with your ads and tweak them and update them and change them and do as you need to get the most out of your money. I want to talk about a few basic keywords and a checklist basically on how to start with Google Ads. So it's not something you should just jump into and fire off an ad and off you go and hope for the best. That's a good way of throwing your money away. This is kind of a plan, if you like, on what you should do before you start with an ad. So number one, keywords. I mean, that's very important, and those things those are the things that people generally look for that you offer. So if it's services or a product, you do a bit of research on those keywords and you find out which keywords are working best, which keywords people are looking for, and you use those in your ads. So create yourself a little spreadsheet or something, or a Word document, whatever you like, and start making a list of these. Do a bit of research. I'll show you how to do that a bit later. And then create a list of these keywords that you want to use to attract people to your website and buy your products or your services. The bid, there's a couple of ways of doing this. So Google Ads is kind of like a bidding platform, like a bit like bid or buy. If you have to go to bid or buy, and there's an item that you want to purchase, and they don't have a buy now option, but only a bid option. It kind of works the same way. You bid on getting your ad out in front of the customer, and you compete against your competitors. So the bidding in Google Ads allows you to set a minimum and a maximum that you're willing to pay for the click or whatever you're planning on getting out of the ad. Your quality score, that is when you do your keyword planning, there's a little number that sits next to the keyword that you're investigating, and it kind of gives you an idea of how relevant those keywords would be in your ad, and tell you, if it's worthwhile putting them into your ad. Some keywords you use may not ever be searched, and that's what the keyword planner helps you prepare for. Those keywords that obviously haven't been searched in the last year, you don't particularly want to use that because they're not going to get you anywhere. Then the ad rank, basically this is the way that Google tells you how you will rank against your competitors in the industry, and it will obviously help you determine how much your budget's going to be in the end. So if you're going to say, I want to spend $1 a click, and I'm going to be competing against the following people, my overall budget probably will end up being X. Cost per click, this is the actual amount that you will pay for your ad. So your ads can be set up in various ways. So one, you can have people come to your website, that's bringing traffic to your website. That is a click. There's other ways that you can set up an ad where you have a goal that says, I want people to come to my website from this ad and buy a product. And then, if that happens, then Google will only charge you when that happens. So there's ways of setting up the ad and kind of getting the benefit from Google without spending too much money, to reach the most amount of people and improve your sales. So one of those ads is called a conversion ad. So obviously a conversion is you want the ad to equate to somebody buying something on your site, or somebody downloading a specific ebook, if you like, or somebody that just comes and fills in a form. To you, that is a conversion, and you can set your ads up to include that, and that kind of helps you reduce your costs, if you like, on the ads. So a basic checklist and a way to kind of set up your account. So I'm using handbags and sneakers here to kind of illustrate. So if you look at the diagram, it says at the top you've obviously got your Google Ads account, and then you've got your 2 campaigns, and then you've got your ad groups, and then you've got your keywords and ads. So the way you kind of want to set it up while you're planning it is, you obviously want to run a campaign. So in this case, there's a campaign on running leather handbags, and there's a campaign on running athletic kick sneakers. So if you plan this from the top to the bottom, plan what your campaign's about, then you obviously create a group underneath those campaigns, or multiple groups. So in this case, on the handbag side, they've got 2 types of handbags. It's called a clutch and a handheld handbag. So those would be your ad groups. And those keywords will obviously fit under that campaign. And then you've obviously got your keywords and ads, which would be specifically related to the ad that you're running for that campaign. Does that make sense? Sorry, I've got a question here. It says, so firstly, it's where can we get help with keywords? We will talk about that shortly. And then Google My Business, they have listed another here. Oh, this is something else. I'll answer that Google My Business question a bit later. So while you're going, obviously planning this, make sure you've got those levels of planning in place to get the best out of your campaign. Each campaign's got to have a theme. Your ad group has got to have potentially the products that you want in that theme, and then the keywords relate specifically to what you want people to do when they find your ads. So somebody searching to buy a leather handbag or a clutch handbag, make sure your keywords in your ad are relating to that, and then your link can obviously links back directly to the product. So that's that. Sorry, I'm looking at, can you revise the campaign basics? Are you talking about the keywords and the cost per click, this? So again, as usual, I will be sharing the presentation, so you're more than welcome to go through it in your own time and have a read. I've put a fair amount of information in there. This is just a way to put your plan together. So this is just an outline, a planning outline on how to, set your ads up. So it's not run in and set up your ads first and then worry about the rest. It's rather plan your campaign correctly, create the right groups for your ads, use the right keywords in the right groups. As illustrated here, so like we talk about campaign 1, which is about handbags. So that'll be your campaign. You want to run an ad campaign on your handbags. Then you have ad groups underneath that campaign. So ad group 1 is about leather handbags, ad group 2 is about clutch and handheld handbags, and then ad group 3 is about wallets and purses. So under each of those groups, so ad group 1, you would have keywords and ads that relate specifically to leather handbags. Ad group 2, you'd have keywords and ads specifically relating to clutch and handheld bags, and then the links obviously relating to those products. So you wouldn't have a leather in ad group 1, you wouldn't have a link to handheld handbags and clutch handbags, because that doesn't, that wouldn't achieve what you're trying to get out of the adverts. Cool. There's a little field at the bottom here that kind of gives you an idea of the length of characters you can use in the various sections. I'll show you a live demo on that and how it all works and how it all kind of fits together. So that'll give you a guide while you're planning it in a spreadsheet, if you like, on what your headline would look like and what your description would look like and what where the paths would go to. So what I'm trying to achieve here is plan your ad rather than just diving straight into it. That's a good way to throw away money, if you like. So as you can see here, I put a little mini budget together on how to kind of plan your ads. This is around your budget and bidding. So when you're doing a bit of research on your keywords, some of the information you get out of a keyword planner will kind of tell you, what's the minimum and maximum bid that has been achieved on this kind of click on these keywords, or a click on these keywords. So you can kind of get an idea. Cool. So in this case, if the bid in the past is between $1 and $10, you can maybe use the average cost per click as a $5, and that's as high as you want to go. You set your monthly budget aside, whatever that is, and then obviously you want to measure how many people come to your website, and that is a goal rather than a measurement initially. So in this case, we're hoping to get 300 people that comes to our website and visits us at $5 a click, and hopefully 10% of those 300 people will actually buy something, so they'll convert. So that'll give us a total website leads of about 30, and then give you an idea of how to plan it, put it together, and set yourself some goals and expectations. As you're going through the ads process, you can kind of see what's working, what's not working against your strategy, if you like.
Renato?
Yes.
Just a quick question. When you put an amount for a click, you say you're competing for other businesses in the same market. Does that mean if I'm in property, that's going to refer to other property companies, or could be across industries?
So in your case, it's people that are advertising properties, if you like, using Google Ads. So if they're using the same keywords as you are, the industry gets used as a benchmark. So they will, if you do your keyword research and it comes back and says, you know, the minimum and the maximum cost per click in the past has been the following, they use people that have, or other property companies that have previously used those keywords in your industry.
Okay, but it will only be in like Johannesburg. It's not going to go across South Africa, or will it? Well, during the keyword planning process, it kind of looks at the market as a whole, so the whole of South Africa. When you start drilling down to setting it up in a specific region, it will focus on that only as well. Okay. Okay.
So on that note, I think when you're doing your keyword planning, if you can drill down to where you actually want to use those keywords, you'll probably have a better indication of what will work and what won't work, and potentially what it cost.
Okay. And when you say drill down, would that be when you're setting it up, your whole campaign up?
No, in the beginning, when you start. So I'll take you through keyword plan a bit later. When you start at that point.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool. No worries. Okay, so if you're not using Search Console as an example, the other way you can kind of start building a keyword list, if you like, is if you go to Google and you open google.co.za or .com and you start typing in your keywords. As you can see, there's a little drop-down list. I'm sure we've all seen this. That kind of shows, you know, what people have been looking for in the last 30 days around your keyword. So in this case, how Keyword Planner works for SEO, for free, 2015, all that kind of stuff, that stuff pops up. So if that's a good place to kind of start and you know, use that, add those keywords. So a keyword is not just a single word, it can be a phrase as well. So you jot down those phrases, as you can see here, into your little spreadsheet. So you document them, so you've got a good starting point. And this is probably the easiest way to start off a keyword planning campaign before you actually dig into the tools that are available. Because the tools, I mean, if you have no idea what keywords are working, the tool's not going to give you the kind of information you're expecting to get out of it. So if you start with things like this, Google search on its own, you know, it gives you a wealth of information. There are other tools out there that can help. This keywordseverywhere.com is another one. There's a little app that you can install into your browser that brings up, as you can see, the screenshots here on the bottom right side. So they show you, you know, related keywords the same way Google will show you. It shows you the kind of volume in the past, whatever period you set up the tool to look at. It shows you the average cost per click, and it shows you how competitive the keyword is in the area. And then it gives you some additional options underneath that to kind of say, you know, these are the keywords you're looking for, and people that use these keywords have also searched for the following. I'm going to try change my audio. Everybody seems to be complaining about that. Give me a second.
Okay, how's this? Is that a bit better?
Yes, there's a slight echo, but it is better.
I'm just closing all the rooms. So sorry, I had my headphone.
Much better.
Okay, brilliant. Awesome. Okay, so part of the process, do your research. It'll help you get some really good, a really good base to start. Use Google Ads, or Google Search. I mean, we've all got that. It's free. It's available to everybody. And as you know, Google Search is one of the most used search engines in the world. So take advantage of it. They've got a lot of these things built into it. It's a good base and a good starting point. Okay, so then to define your keyword types. So I've shared this as part of a handout. You'll get it a little bit later. This exact, well, not slide, but there's a PDF of this in. So I'll just quickly run through what the different matches are. So there's a broad match. So it's kind of everything that relates to these examples. So if your keyword is like fixture, you know, it will potentially bring up light fixture, outdoor light, how to replace a broken light. So it's quite generic and broad. Then you get a modified broad match, which you add parentheses in front of it or behind it. So the keyword here is plus light fixture. It'll bring up light fixtures as fire, lamp lighting, and it broadens the search rather than showing you less specific information, if you like. Then the phrase match, if you put inverted commas around the words, it will bring up a list of words specifically around lighting fixture. So like bar lighting fixtures for kitchen. So it adds for kitchen to, if somebody's searching for that, it will be shown up in that search. Then the exact match it's got the square brackets on the other side. So if anybody's looking for those two words, lighting fixture specifically, it will present your ad to them only. So it won't go to somebody that's looking for outdoor lights or somebody that's looking for a lamp lighting. They won't see the ad if you've got the square brackets around lighting fixture. The last one is negative match. So when you're planning your keywords, and when you get to the point of actually implementing your keywords in the ads, it's a good idea to create a negative match from the get-go. And you can download a bunch of lists online that are freely available. Google does a few of their own, and it kind of covers things like, things that are not in your industry. So in this example here, we're using lighting fixtures. So we're thinking of a company like a Eurolux, for example, and they're focusing on people that, at home or businesses or whatever the case is. Maybe they're running a campaign that's purely focused on the home user. One of their negative keywords would be business or commercial, because their ad campaign is specifically focused on the home user, and vice versa. There are a whole bunch of other negative keywords that you should keep standard and always in your list, and you can look those up. So the most common ones that are in every single list I've always found is like for free education. I mean, I'm thinking about these guys as a lighting company. For free training. I mean, we're trying to sell a product here. We're not giving away training. Porn sites. So if anybody's looking up lighting fixture for porn, your site's not going to show up for that. So there's a whole bunch of keywords. Always have them in your list and always add them to your campaigns. With Google Ads, you can actually create a negative keyword list that is there all the time. It's kind of like a generic one. And when you set up your ad, you just pull it in. Match. Okay, so the other thing you've got to plan is, once your ad's out there, if you remember a few slides back, I showed you the length for your heading, the length for your description, and then there was also a link. When you're planning your ad, make sure you put the right link in for the page that you're advertising. Or if somebody's buying a product from you, make sure you have the right link to the product so that they don't have to go clicking around your website and potentially dropping off and you're losing a sale. So set the link right, make sure that your product is the featured item on the website, on the landing page, or whatever it is that you're planning on doing. Make sure you send them to the right page in that link.
Renato?
Yes.
With Google Ads, when you send them to a link or a landing page, that does not necessarily have to be a landing page under your control. Yes,
exactly. Well, it kind of has... you want to have some sort of control over it, because, I mean, if you're going to send them to, in your case, Neil, if you're selling a specific property and you're advertising a specific property and you send them to a landing page with a whole bunch of properties on, you're kind of defeating the object.
Yeah, but like, for example, to take that, let's say, just for argument's sake, I want to send them to property 24 and I get the full page description. I can send it to that page on property 24 that has only my properties on.
Absolutely. Yes, you can.
So you don't have to own that website. Yeah.
No. But obviously you want to see how your money's spent, right?
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely you can. I mean, if you're running a campaign that's just about getting your brand out there and you don't want people to kind of do something specific, absolutely. You can send them to your website landing, your homepage, so that they can start digging around and having a look to find out who you are and what you're offering. Absolutely. But if you've got a campaign that you want to sell something specific, or you want them to do something specific from the ad, make sure you get them to that specific point that you want them to convert at.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So the other thing you're going to think about while you're setting up your ads is, I'll refer back to Search Console. When you're using Search Console, there's actually a report that shows you, you've got so many people that are coming in from mobile, you've got so many people that are coming in from desktops. You can drill down into that and you can kind of see what operating system they're using, what kind of browser they're using. If the majority of your customers visit your website through a mobile device, make sure your ads are mobile friendly and they're aimed at mobile devices. So as you're going through the setup process, you can actually say, this is destined for mobile devices. We'll only show it on mobile devices. If you find that a lot of people are coming to your website through the browser and you want to attract more people from the mobile, you can set your ad up to do that specifically, to focus on mobile users only. So all part of the plan. Okay, so this is now a screen. We're actually inside Google Ads. There's a little button at the top of the page that has a little menu. It's called Tools and Settings. This is the menu that you'd see. I think we will probably touch on Google. If you look on the far left-hand side, it says Planning. There's Performance Planner. We're going to touch on Keyword Planner today. The shared library, you can see there it says negative keyword lists. I was talking about negative keywords previously. I mean, you can go into that and create your list. So when you set up your page, you can just, when you set up your ad, you can pull that list into your ad. And then there's various other things you can do. I'm not going to touch on all of that. We're focusing on the basics of ads and setting up your keywords or doing some keyword research today. But there's a lot of information there that helps you navigate Google Analytics. Google Ads, sorry. Okay, so I want to take you through some examples here. So there's a little thing, Google Ads is often referred to as a little black box that Google Ads is to most people. And let me take you through and show you what it is. And show you how to get it started, and how to reverse engineer Google Ads to get the best out of it and to make a success of it. So if you know the costs and margins of your products, AdWords is a really easy way to get your money's worth, often boasting a great ROI in the hundreds and thousands of percent points. As you can see here, look at these big cars, look at the kind of money they're spending, huge money on a daily basis. And I mean, look at the impressions and the cost per click. It's these are some of the people that you've got to compete against. So let's, sorry, I'm a bit stuck there. Let's go through this again, sorry. There we go. So I think looking at this page, I want you to understand that if you set up your ads correctly and you do the proper research and plan it properly, there's a good way to get your ads in front of the right people. And if you know of any of these two companies here, Grubhub, Domino's, we all know Domino's, and Rackers Pizzeria. Rackers is a tiny little pizza shop. I think it's a one single shop in Denver. They make great pizzas. You can see here they're up there with Domino's. Domino's is a massive conglomerate worldwide. You find them everywhere. I mean, we have a few in South Africa. I know in Europe they're everywhere. In the States they're everywhere. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is, if you plan your ads right and you use the right keywords and you you do the right investigation from the get-go using the tools that are available, you can place your ads right up there, if not above, the big players. So yes, they might be spending $6,000 a day, but you can compete with them. It's all about planning. As you can see, the Grubhub guys, they can take over the #1 spot from Domino's. Domino's is worldwide. And Grubhub is using one of the best keywords in the industry that Domino's probably dominating on generally, and they've taken over. So even as small players in the industry, we can kind of duke it out with the top of the search engine players. And you know, all it takes is a few minutes of you doing the right research from the beginning. You know, AdWords also gives you a little bonus too. It can help you reveal the money-making keywords in your industry. So while you're doing the research, it will come up with other ideas, like I showed you in the Google. If you just use Google search, like pizza delivery, the little drop-down list that shows you more. So just by spending a few bucks, you'll discover that which keywords convert the best. So you can take them back to your content and your SEO strategy. The AdWords, as I mentioned earlier, marketplace basically works as an auction. People bid money for clicks. You know, the highest doesn't always win. So that's one nice thing about Google. Google combines the money factor with the quality factor. I'll dive into that a bit in a little bit, in order to create the best experience for the user. So I think if you think back about what we've spoken about through these 4 sessions, one of them is, you know, if your website's got great content, Google can read that. They've got intelligence that understands what's been written by a human being and what is just been stuffed with keywords. So Google then discredits the guys that are stuffing things with that aren't human readable, if you like, and those people that are writing blogs, for example, that are human relatable and easy read, you know, they get better marking and a better feedback and a better rating from Google. So if you're doing those things right from the get-go, Google's your friend. And there's a great way to take advantage of that. So I think on that, if you plan your ads right, you've got a great website with great content, 9 times out of 10, you will potentially get a really good bid and get placed really high, as you can see here with the Grubhub, for example, against a really big competitor. It is a massive industry, and if you haven't tapped into its potential, I bet you'd love to. This is what Google Ads is. Be warned though, it's not straightforward, but it's not easy. It takes time to get used to, and you can end up winning using it. So as I said, it takes time to get used to. It's not easy to master, but once you do, you know, you can make money out of it instead of losing money as most people do in the beginning. And there's various factors that relate to that, and one of them is being patient. So before we begin, I think before we continue, I just want to make I want you guys to promise me, 3 things. When you're setting up your ads and you're going through the process, don't spend a lot of money. You know, set a fixed budget. It can be as little as 50 Rand a day, or 50 Rand for the month, or even 25 Rand, whatever it is. Whatever you're happy and comfortable with. Generally, it's enough to get started. And Google, while you're setting it up, will help you tell you what the minimums are with the keywords that you've chosen and the kind of ad that you're trying to set up. Initially, don't overcomplicate things. The Google AdWords and the Google Ads is an extremely complex interface. It is very easy to get lost. And I mean, you can start creating dozens of variations for your ads very simply, because Google can lead you down that path. Don't. Keep it simple. Do as little as the platform allows you to do to begin with. And then you need to be patient. This is by far the most important factor. 99% of people who lose money on AdWords simply quit too early, or they spend too much too fast. Have patience. It does take time. If I can give one more piece of advice: if you're actually setting up a brand new website, or you've just basically if you set up a brand new website and your digital footprint is just been finished and you've kind of been on the web for like a month, don't run ads yet. Give yourself about 3 to 6 months to kind of settle in and let Google figure out who you are and do all its scans and run all its bots and spiders and things on the back end of your website, and let your customers come organically. Once you've gotten to that point, then go ahead, run ads. The difference between if you're running an ad right now and you've got a brand new website, you're going to probably spend anything between 15 and 50 Rand on a click. Whereas if you wait a little bit, you can get that cost per click down to a couple of Rand. Can you guys promise me that? Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. Don't spend a massive amount of money when you first get started, and be patient. Okay, good. Let's move on. Okay, let's have a look at the overview. Let's start off with some of the basics here. This way that we can kind of all be on the same page. Some of the basic terms that we need. A keyword is a word or phrase the user search for, so your potential customers or visitors will type something into Google search and that'll present your ad. So your ads will show up when people use those keywords. So this dashboard over here is fairly complicated, but we'll get to it. Google, counts the clicks on your ads and charges you for each of those clicks. I mean, this is the bidding process. They also count the amount of impressions your ads use. So depending on how you set up your ads, I mean, if you're doing the basics and initially, impressions are one of the costs that you will incur. And that number is, it simply tells you how often your ad has been shown when people are searching for your keywords. If you divide the clicks by impressions, you get a click-through rate. So the CTR, you'll see it's kind of in the middle, just to the right of clicks. This is just the percentage of users you land on your advertised page because they clicked on your ad. This is important because click-through rate tells you which ads are working well and which are not. In a nutshell, Google is an auction house. You have to set a budget and a bid. That's, like I said, do as little as possible. The bid sets out how much you're willing to pay for each click. If your maximum bid is 5 Rand, Google will only show your ad to people who aren't bidding more on average. Google obviously wants to maximize their revenue. So naturally, they'll show the ad by the company who bids the highest amount for that keyword, assuming that all bidders have the same quality score. So remember I said earlier about your content and your look and feel and how your ranking is from Google, because your stuff is real on your website against those that aren't. So that's your quality score. However, in saying that, if people are bidding less for the keyword that you want to show your ad to show up on, Google won't spend your maximum bid. So if somebody's bidding 4 Rand on the same keywords as you bidding 5 Rand, if your bid wins because your quality score is higher, they won't actually charge you the 5 Rand, they'll charge you the 4 Rand 50, if you like. So you could end up paying a lot less. So your cost per click, or CPC, is not showing up here. Can obviously be lower than your original or your maximum bid that you've set up, especially if your ads produce a good quality score. So again, we keep talking about the quality score. This is a metric based on the experience that your user has on your landing page. So if somebody clicks on your ad, goes to your homepage or your landing page, and actually sticks around or continues with the process, like add to cart, buy now, pay now, and receive the thank you page, which is what everybody wants. So that's kind of what's measured as experience. If they don't drop off after that page, so they land on the page and then go to another website, that's counted as a drop off. So that all adds up to the user experience. Google doesn't just show people the ads from the highest bidder. It doesn't work like that. They could be horrible ads. And Google actually cares about that and cares about the users so much that they'd rather show them a more relevant and better ad by someone who pays less, because that keeps their users coming back to Google. In some cases, the action might be something other than a purchase, signing up to an email, downloading a PDF, a free PDF, entering your personal information to sign up for a newsletter. Those are some of the actions. In most cases, though, it's about the money, and rightfully so. We obviously want to spend money to make more. Companies often quickly burn thousands and thousands of rands on AdWords and pay-per-click advertising, since their budget is set daily, and unless you pause the process, it can run endlessly. Imagine creating 10 campaigns with various keywords with a 50 Rand budget a day. I mean, if you let that run for a month, you could quite easily reach 50,000 Rand bill before you know it. So obviously, that's why we need conversions on your ads. You want people to actually do stuff and buy your product and spend money. So unless you're in the early days of your marketing, you're not about just getting your brand out there. You're actually getting people to spend money on your website or on your store. So in order to make money with ads, you need to sell something. So that's why conversions is what we'll start with. I'll take you through how to set up your account, make sure you track your clicking rate and conversions, and then we'll kind of get the ball rolling. But first, there's a bit of a deeper dive on how Google Ads actually works. I'm talking about the math and factors which determine the two things you should care about most. And it's how much you want to pay or have to pay, and where are you going to rank. So how does Google AdWords work? Back in the old days, you could bid on almost any keyword you wanted. So it was a straight auction. It didn't factor in any relevance of your website or user experience. And since then, a lot of things have changed. So the quality score is the thing that kind of changed that all. And the quality score is about user experience, the content of your website, how Google measures your website. And this metric combines several factors in order to effectively determine how good your offer is for somebody that's looking for your product. Okay, this is about to get a little bit nerdy, but it's critical that I get you to understand the basics and the fundamentals if you're going to start spending lots of money a month on AdWords. Yeah. So as you can see on this page that's up at the moment, each keyword in your account will get its own quality score. So even two keywords with in the same ad group, we'll go into that, what that means in a second, they can have two different quality scores. And that goes back to how relevant it is to the search that somebody is making. So the first factor they're looking at or looking for is relevancy. For example, let's say someone searches for, let's use snowboard rentals. Which keyword phrase, out of the relevance score would probably show up between snowboard rentals in afri-ski or skiing rentals? It should be simple, right? Even though they're related, one obviously is much better, or is a much better fit. The same thing happens though in a campaign when you're using key phrases like snowboard rentals pricing, snowboard rentals in afri-ski. This time they're all pretty relevant, but depending on the popularity of each, you ideally want to be as specific as possible. For example, that might mean creating individual ads or even new campaigns for each of these specific keywords. Because of the second factor, the click-through rate, both of these are taken into account through expected and historical interactions. Your ads will get impressions or views and actual clicks. Your click-through rate is the calculation of clicks from views. A higher click-through rate generally means that your ad and keyword relevancy is better than others with a lower click-through rate, assuming the copy is good on your website, obviously. So Google will take a look at your older click-through rates and also forecast future ones in order to determine how well your ad matches somebody's search. Next, they look at your account history. Have you run ads in the past? And how have they fared? So although it's a fairly minor piece of the pie to compare to click-through rates and impressions and quality score, it still plays a role in helping Google determine if you're a legitimate, credible brand with good products and services. Sorry, give me a second. Let's switch something off. So I think what I'm trying to get at is, your stuff needs to be relevant to someone that is actually searching for your products. So in the snowboard rentals, when you're searching for snowboard rentals, they should bring up snowboard rental ads and anything that's kind of relevant in that search. I mean, if you did the Google search and you found all those additional keywords that people have been using in the last 30 days, and that'll obviously bring them to your ad, to the page where people are talking about that. Let's talk about your landing page. So this obviously has to be user-friendly. Sometimes it's tough to navigate or get through a sketchy website. People generally bounce off of that if they don't get if they click on your ad and they're expecting something specific and it's not there, they leave your website. That's kind of your bounce rate. You don't want them to do that. So when you're planning your landing page, make sure it's exactly like the ad is portraying. But if they bounce off, that's kind of a negative sign to Google. It means your page, for whatever reason, sucks. And therefore your score will take a bit of a hit. And you'll drop down below those who have got a better landing page than you do. So this is where the competition comes in. You've always got to try and be better than the competition.
Renato?
Yes.
On that landing page, to get a click-through, what does that mean? Does that mean from a technical term they have to click on a submit button or a enter or what?
Yeah, so basically, in your case, if you're advertising a specific property, you want them to go and click on one of the buttons on that page. So the ad sends them to that page with the properties on, and maybe you've got a button there that says read more or see more or more about the property, and then underneath that, the ultimate thing that you want them to do is contact me or send you an email or phone me. So
where would they do the check? On the click on the property or the phone me, or is it the same?
You determine that. So look, I mean, there's two things to talk about, Jess. So one is, do they stay on the page and do they click on the buttons and do they scroll past like the 30% mark? So if you look at a page when you land on a page, the first 25% of the page is what everybody sees for the first time. When you start scrolling, that is, it grows to 30%. And then if people go beyond that, that's a good thing. Google measures that as a good thing. If they then go and click on something on that page, that's even better. The other side is if they land on the page and in the first screen that pops up, the first 25% of your page, they don't find what they're looking for, they close the tab, or they close the browser, or they close and open a new tab and start their search again, or they go back to the Google tab where they did their search. That's counted as a drop-off, and that's not good.
So when you're talking about scrolling 30-40%, Google monitors that. Do you have to set up in your Google ads what responses you want, or does Google automatically do that on each page?
No, Google, well, when you're setting up your ads, you can set specific outcomes in the ad.
Okay.
So you can kind of say, so when you first set up the ad, it asks you, what is this for? Is this like brand awareness? Is this, product sale? Is this, it asks you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
And then you start setting up your ad. And from what you set up in that ad, Google will then determine, what they're going to measure on your website side. So you kind of tell the ad what you want it to achieve. and then Google obviously runs with that. Got it? Okay, so let's talk a bit about the scores and things. Okay, so that's your landing pages. Come on. Let's talk about, you know, how it all works. As I mentioned, Google Ads is an auction, which is true. But sometimes if you do your ads right, you can actually rank at the top, like I showed you earlier, between the pizza places, while also paying less for your ads. So in this example here, it often takes your quality score to outrank your competitors, and just your quality score. So ad rank is your quality score times your maximum bid, which you've selected, which is simple maths really. And in theory, this is what dictates your position you're going to appear in. In reality, it's not always that simple, because AdWords is such a massive landscape. So I think the effective cost per click you're going to pay is often determined by those scores versus your competitors. So Google Ads will assess your maximum bid, your quality score, and your ad rank, and compare those against your competitors, all in fractions of a second. I mean, this happens very quickly, in order to determine what you're going to pay. So in this example here, which has come from a company called WordStream, you can go look them up. I'll talk you through this illustration. So the cost per clicks in your own industry might vary wildly based on the demand of people searching and how much your competitors are willing to spend. For example, in the automotive industry, we might only see you back, you know, a few bucks per click, but in competitive industries like insurance, law, you know, those cost per clicks can be anything between 500 to 1,000 Rand a piece per click. So, you know, how you're probably thinking, how in the world can I kind of compete to that or spend that much money to kind of better my competitors? So that's a hell of a lot of money for us that are, you know, kind of starting up. So, but I think in the back of your mind, you've got to understand, and AdWords is not expensive. It's quite cheap if you're doing this right. If you know what you are doing, you can still make, you know, 10 times your money back on what you're spending on ads. Any questions on this before we move forward? No? Okay. So this is, like I said, I'm quickly going to show you how to set up your account. There's the link to get yourself to your own Google Ads page. You're going to use your Google Gmail account that we set up right in the beginning to set it all, you know, to set up the business account, if you like, keeping it separate. Come on. Okay. Once you kind of set up, you know, using Google Ads the first time, it takes you straight into, you know, create your first campaign. This is a good place to start. If you pay attention to what's on your screen, not specifically what I'm showing you right now, under the save and continue, there's a little text link that says, I'd like to do this on my own, or something to that effect, which, you know, you can, instead of using the wizard that they're showing you here, you can create your own ad. But I think to start off with, use this as a stepping stone so you can kind of get a feel of how the ads work and how they are set up and what kind of questions they ask you as you're going through the process. So going back to the beginning of the presentation, I said, put your plan together. So this is where your plan gets executed. So you've decided on what your budget is. You know, you can put it in, you can set a daily budget, or you can set a lifetime budget. So if you want to run an ad for a week, you can say, I'm willing to spend 100 Rand for the week, and I want my ads to run from this date to this date, from this time to that time. You want to choose your audience. So I think we were speaking about this earlier about drilling down. So in this case, your location, you can select the country, so the whole of South Africa, or you can select the province, which is just Gauteng, or you can select the city, which is Johannesburg, or you can drill down to, I want my ads only to show in a specific suburb in Johannesburg. The next thing is, networks. So you can see there's two different types of networks. One is the search network, which is if you go to Google this today and type in, I'm looking for the following, and it just brings up everything you find is just text-based. So that is a search network. The display network is you can have it show up in videos. So like on YouTube, if your ad is a video, if you like. I'm sure we've all watched a YouTube video where in the middle or at the beginning, you're interrupted with an ad that runs for 5 or 6 seconds before you can skip it. That is what's called the display network. Then obviously add in your keywords that you've done and researched. Don't forget to add in your negative keywords. Select your bid. So depending on what you've set up at the top, your budget, you can have it work out automatically if you like, or you can set a specific bid, which is the cost per click, which I showed you earlier, the $5 or the R5, or or you can set it up to kind of do it automatically. Then there's the ad. So the one example I showed you earlier was, for heading 1, you've got 30 characters, heading 2, you've got 30 characters. This is where you start putting in all of that information.
Renato, just on that slide.
Yeah.
When you set your budget, obviously the amount of bids that you get will be constrained by your budget. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And then the other question I have is, if you take a week, you have a weekly budget. Yep. Obviously, you could use that budget up in the first day if you get a lot of bids or clicks.
No. So, well, that depends. So if you look at the bottom, number 3. So number 3 and number 1 are kind of connected. So if you say, my budget for the week is $100, when you go set up your bid, if you set it up automatically, what Google will do automatically is make sure that your ad runs that entire week, and it optimizes the use of your money to its bidding process. But if you set it up that you've got 100 Rand a week and you set your bid at 1 Rand a bid, and you get 3,000 hits like in the first day, absolutely you can run out of budget.
So you can run out of budget your first day.
You can if you set it up manually. But if you set it up for Google to manage it automatically for you, Google will maximize your budget over that period. Okay,
and then the other way, if you don't reach your budget on a specific day, does it roll it over or not?
So if I go back to this slide here, where is it? This slide. So as you can see here, if you're bidding $2 per click,
that's why I asked.
Yeah, and you're only spending $161. In this case, you'll get longevity out of your bid. So if you set a weekly budget and it's on automatic, Google will optimize that you use all that money. You won't have 1 cent left at the end of the week.
Okay.
Google will optimize your budget. Okay. If you set your budget, when you get to the point where you can't attain a bid through your maximum bid allocation, your ads will stop. And whatever's left over is 9 times out of 10 nothing, because Google will help you spend your money whichever way you set it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, they earn on this, right? So they'll take as much as they can.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So I think target audience, we kind of discussed. I'm not going to dig on this. You can choose your location. You wanted your ads to run locally, countrywide, province, city, town. Obviously, there's 2 options that come along. So it's the search network. So that's only where text is displayed, or is a display network. So Google's partner networks include things like YouTube. So your ads from a display network will be shown up in YouTube if you've got a video. And it doesn't mean that it's a video as such. You could have if you think back on Facebook, some people have scrolling images. That will be construed as a video, so you can show that on a display network. In the search network, there's no images or anything that you upload. If you set your ad to display network, it asks for images or videos or video files or the likes. So your keywords, there's obviously a limitation initially when you set it up. They recommend 15 to 20 keywords. It will show you some information about your keyword when you put it in. What's the popularity of the last 30 days or the last week? So obviously your keyword list will be a lot longer than this. And you can either add them manually, or you can use a copy and paste out of an Excel spreadsheet. You can paste it into this window and it will automatically upload the keywords that you put in. Then this looks out of place. Okay, so basically once you've got your account set up and you go back to the page, you can go and sign in into your account. It then asks you for your email address. I think I've kind of shown you this already. This is what it looks like it's out of place. I've shown you that. Why are we going backwards? Okay. So yeah, this is why we're here. Sorry about that. So when you land on that first page and you click on that little button called Tools at the top of the page in your Google Ads account, if you go and select Keyword Planner, which is what we're going to talk about, it will give you two options. Discover new keywords. You can use Google search to do that. It's quite comprehensive. Or you can use this and you type in one keyword and it'll come back with a whole bunch of examples that it's found over the last 30, 60 days, or even up to a year that people have used, and then they'll rank it by the amount of times it's been used. Or if you've got a whole list of your own keywords, you can go and have a look at the search volume and the forecast. So Google kind of, with its fancy maths and algorithms and things, will kind of say, in the last 30 days, this keyword that you've selected has been used X amount of times in search, and looking at those numbers and looking forward, you potentially get this many clicks or this many conversions or this many impressions from the keyword. So we're busy talking about keyword planning. Once you've selected your option, you're presented with, this page, and there's a couple of ways that you can start with this page. You can either start by pasting in the keyword that you've already kind of researched, or you can start typing in basic ideas of what you think your keywords could be, and Google will help you discover new keywords to help you build your ads. And then obviously you can then go and click and select the ads, the keywords that you find that they've found, that you can click and add them to your keywords. So if you type in like this, gluten-free desserts, and hit enter, it will change. That is what your keyword would be. Low carb cookies, that's what your keyword would be. If you just type in cookies and hit enter, it does the same thing. That's what your keyword would be. And then it obviously gives you other options. You can, once you've selected your keywords, you can, if you're not sure what keywords to use, if you know who your competitors are, you could type in their website over here. So the link, their website, domain, whatever it is. So it will then go and have a look at their site and come back to you with some keyword examples. What are these guys using? What are your competitors using as keywords on their website? So there's another starting point. Instead of you doing all the research, they've done it for you. So use it. I mean, you are going to be competing against them when you're advertising and in business. So they've done it, use it. It's obviously working for them. And then the next thing that comes up, and it kind of gives you a forecast. If your budget's going to be X, this is how many impressions you're going to get. This is how much it's going to cost. This is how many clicks you're going to kind of get. And obviously your click-through rate and your average cost per click. So this information will all come in once you click on the Get Results page. I know we're kind of hitting 12, after 12. Wow. Geez, time flies when you're having fun. Do you guys want to kind of stick around and go through some more? Or
yeah.
Tracy, do you guys need to cut it short?
So,
yes.
how accurate is that last slide? in your experience? In terms of when they're giving you feedback on your click-through rate and your cost per click and so on, how accurate are they?
So when they calculate that, they're using averages. So I can't tell you that it's 90% accurate or 50% accurate. It depends on the keywords you're using and how much they've been used in the past. 30 days and year, whatever algorithm that Google currently uses on their search results. So it's not cast in stone, it's not set, it's not 100% if you like. It's an average.
Okay.
Cool. Shall we go on a bit? Tracy?
So if everyone is comfortable to continue for a short while, then I'm happy with that.
Cool. Can everybody, is there a way to like show your hand? We're all good. I suppose everybody stays, then we're good. So I'm going to share my screen again. I've got Keyword Planner opened up. And let's share that screen. Cool. So if you log in to your Google Ads account, there's that little button. You click on that and you go Keyword Planner. It opens this page. So there's your discover keywords, and there's your obviously your forecast and results. So if you're not sure, we're using Abacus Locksmith again. I'm going to change a page and let's do Google. No, not that. I want to Google search. This will work. So if I want to go locksmith, so obviously in the area that I'm in, these are the keywords that have been used a lot lately. If I want to do keys cut, so you can see the keys cut by code, machine, near me, open. So all of these are potential keywords that you can kind of use in your planning. So if we go keys cut near me, let's have a look at who is around me from a locksmith perspective. Okay, so we've got this guy runs an ad. Let's copy their link address. Let's go back to Keyword Planner. And as we know, they're actually running an ad because it says ad here. So they've already gone through this process. So let's see what keywords they're using. So let's paste. We don't need all of that. Let's paste their link in. Wow. No, that didn't work. Let's do this. Let's click on that. So obviously it takes me to their website. Let's steal the website link. Get rid of that, put it in. And key cut is a keyword. Hit enter. Let's see what results are. So it goes onto these guys' website and it looks at the kind of keywords that they're using. It shows you the low range of the bids on that. So it could cost you anything from R7.88 for someone to click on that to R52.81 on a click. So we've already got this keyword in our account. There's very low competition, so people aren't using this in the area that I'm in. And the average monthly searches is between 1 and 10,000 times a month. So if you're planning, you don't want to use this as a keyword because it's very low. So you're not going to get in front of anybody because nobody's searching for that. As with this, if you want to maximize your spend and your money, you would obviously not look at the medium and the high because that's competitive. If you want to compete against your customers, your competitors in the area, you'd obviously look at the higher competitive words because now you're going to compete against the guys in your area. And this is kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to spend. If you go and then put your minimum bid as R9, this becomes irrelevant. Or if you go and put it in as R5, again, these keywords become irrelevant through the bidding process. Although Google does go through that and looks at the whole thing, so your quality score and your previous bid rate and all that stuff, and you might come in as a lower rate. In this case, this keyword won't show up. So things to kind of remember when you're planning and putting this all together. Because we've only used keys cut, it gives you the option here of adding things to adding keywords, and you can kind of change what region you want this to be in. So at the moment we're looking at the whole of South Africa. If we wanted to look at let's see, Sandton, so we can add Sandton as a target, and we can get rid of South Africa. So we can we're only focusing on Sandton. So let's change that and see how this changes. So there we go. You see a lot of the keywords don't have pricing anymore because they're not being used. They've still got a medium competition, no more high. This is already in our account, and this will give us an idea of what we could potentially pay for a click on key cutting service near me. So this is how you drill down from a keyword perspective. This is obviously the date, so it looks up at the last year on how these keywords have been searched, how often they've been searched. So once you've created all of this, you can, you can download this list of ideas. It comes down in a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet, which obviously allows you to import it easier when you get to the point of actually planning your keywords. If you save this, not saved, okay. Once you've exported it, you can go into save keywords, you can go and add a new keyword list. You copy and paste all those keywords into this area. And then remember to set your match type. So in this case, if you want an exact match on keys cut, so that's exact match. If you want it to be matched on a phrase, so you'd kind of go keys cut. So what will happen, the outcome of that would be keys cut near me. So under keys cut, you'd potentially be found, you know, your ad will be presented if somebody types keys cut near me. If you're using this one, which is an exact match, if anybody searches for keys cut near me, you're not going to get shown up. So when you're planning your keywords, keep that in mind. You can have this word a couple of times. So you can have it as a broad match, as a phrase, or as an exact keyword. So you could have your keywords like that as well. It gives you a better spread.
Renato?
Yes.
On the previous screen where you said the maximum bid was, say, $75, I think it was on that screen for a specific keyword.
Yep.
Does that mean that if you want to beat that company, you have to have a maximum bid of 76?
No. So that's not on a specific company. That is over the last 12 months. The maximum bid that Google has recorded on that keyword was that 75 Rand or whatever it is a click.
Oh, so that's over a 12-month period?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's not an average, that's an actual.
Oh, that's an actual. Okay, so it's a minimum maximum. So if you want, you have to look at an average to try and get outbid them kind of thing.
Yes, and it actually it relates back to what your budget's going to be. If you don't have 75 Rand to bid on that, don't use it. If you have got 9 Rand instead of the 10 Rand to bid on that, go for it. I mean, there's a good opportunity for you to potentially pay that, right?
Yeah.
If you're happy with your backend and Google's happy with your website, and you know your experience score is great and people don't drop off your website a lot and Google likes you, you will potentially pay that instead of the $75 or the $10.
Okay, and then that rating is just a dollar amount. It doesn't take your actual website or your keyword rating into account.
No, this is what Google. This is Google's. So it's not using DuckDuckGo. It's not using what's it, Microsoft Bing. It's using the Google platform only, and it's measuring what's happened with this keyword over the past 12 months and its measurements and ratings for it.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. So we could copy that and create, put it in here, and you can save this by campaign name. So you can create an ad group. So remember in the beginning I showed you your Google account, your campaign, then your ad group, and then your keywords and ads. So you'd create, let's say we were talking about leather handbags in the beginning. So we can create a group called leather handbags, and all the words, the keywords that we want will be under that. So when you get to setting up your ads, you don't have to physically go and copy and paste or type out all your keywords again. You just refer it to this ad group that you create over here. So you don't have to go through the process 2 or 3 times while you're setting up your ad. Negative keywords. Actually, let me do a quick search here and show you Google keyword. So let's pick up, that's a job. There we go. Let's have a look at WordStream. I showed you a little image from them earlier, the little brown image. So depending on what you're advertising, you can copy. Let's see if they've got a list here. No, they don't. Let's go back to that. So you can copy this list as an example and paste it into your negative keywords. You can create your own. And that negative keyword could be specific to the ad campaign or your whole ads profile. So, I mean, if you're not selling careers and your product isn't about careers and salaries and resumes, you don't want to have people looking up your product with these words in it, and clicking on your ad for no reason and not getting anything out of it. There's obviously, all the lists are different. Some people have more than others. I mean, other things you've got to think about is, are you selling files? Are you selling an error? Are you giving away stuff for free or freeware? Are you in retail or not, in the public domain? Are you selling videos, tips? You see there's different keywords by industry, by product, by legal. So you can create your own list, which can be specific to your ads, or you can create a list that's generic and excludes anybody searching for, what's not related to your product. So as part of your research, your keyword research, make sure you do the negative keywords as well. So you can create a negative keyword by campaign off the whole thing here. You just add it in. When you're setting up your ads, you can select which ones are relevant for that ad. If you're going out as a, marketing your brand and you don't want to be shown up in things that don't relate to your brand, you can bring up the generic keyword list. If you've got a specific thing like the handbags, the leather handbags, you don't want to be, if you've got keywords that say leather and you don't want to be showing up, you don't want your ad to show up when somebody's looking for leather shoes, you can put that as a negative keyword, shoes. So if somebody searches leather shoes, your leather handbag is not going to show up and you're not going to have to pay for a click that's going to get you nothing. Cool. That's keyword planning. So as you can, I hope that makes sense. Seems easy enough. There are other tools, as I mentioned. I don't know if I've got it installed here. No, I don't have it installed yet. So there's a little app that I showed you here. You guys, I'll give you the link. It pops up a little window here and shows you the different keywords and how they rate. So you don't have to go through this process. They kind of do it for you in this little app over here. Let's have a quick look at ads. So these guys, obviously, we've done some ads. We've run some ads. This is kind of where you'd land if you running ads already. There's a bit of a report, a bit of an idea of what is happening. Google's very nice, where they give you recommendations that you can kind of look through and either accept, approve, or decline. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. It gives you insights about how your ads are running. These guys aren't running ads, so you're not going to see a hell of a lot here. It shows you your campaigns. So if there's different campaigns that you've set up, so campaigns and auction insights, Part of the planning I mentioned, you have your Google Ads account, you have your campaigns over there, you have your ad groups, which is specific to your product or brand. Extensions is something where you can add like a call out, like a call me, or a link to your website, or a pop-up. Once you've created your ads, landing pages will show up and it'll show you your landing pages. And then obviously your keywords. This report kind of looks like a spreadsheet, and it shows you in which ads and ad groups and which campaigns your keywords have shown up and been used, and how many times have been clicked, and what it's actually cost for that keyword to be clicked. Let's see if this works. Okay, so Sentry Secure. This is a bit old. I don't know when we last ran ads here, but it gives you an idea. This is the keyword. This is the campaign. This is the ad group. In this case, it obviously be saying eligible. It wouldn't say anything else. It tells you what kind of keyword it is, where your keyword is linking to, how many times you clicked, how many times your keyword's been seen and searched for, your click-through rate, and over here it'll tell you the actual cost, the average cost for this set of campaigns over the past, whatever period you've set your filter up to. So this is like in July. And then what your conversions have been, and what it costs you. So this cost per conversion is something you're gonna have to put in. If you know your product costs $100 and you make 50 Rand profit on there, every time somebody converts, if you put those numbers in here, it'll tell you, out of these clicks, we've had 3 conversions, so we've made $150 out of those 3 clicks, and it's cost me whatever, $5. So this is a great place to see what's working, what's not working. And obviously, the lower you go down the list, depending on how you set it up, it'll show you the stuff that's not working. It'll have 0, 0, 0, 0. The audiences is obviously who you're targeting, who you're aimed at, and who's actually clicking your ads. It'll have age, gender. If you've set up this to be, go back, no, leave. Your settings is for your account and campaign. So obviously this is overarching, and this is just specific to your campaign. It'll show you how your schedules are running and how they're running across all the way down to hour. This is if you set up dynamic ads, this will show up, and then any experiments you're trying to run. So once you get into the swing of things and understand how the ads all work, you can set up experiments. So you set up your ad, and you can set up an experiment next to it. It's kind of like A/B testing, if you like. So one ad will have a blue background, and the other ad will have a red background, and you see which one works better for you. Which one gets more clicks, which one gets more click-throughs and impressions. And then from there you can say, okay, well, the blue background works better than the red, so discard the red and run the blue. And I'm going to get better responses from that. Cool, we've got half an hour over. Any questions?
Yes, sorry, Renato, about the Google My Business, where they've listed another Here Gear, but in America, it's not me. Okay.
If you do some research on the company, maybe they've got the website.com or .co.us or something to that effect. If it's a legitimate company, there's not much you can do about it. You might have to create Here Gear _SA. Or if the company kind of doesn't really exist, you can actually, while you're setting it up, it gives you the option to claim this business.
It is a legitimate company.
So they're existing, they're running.
Yeah, and they also do hearing aids.
So you probably have to change your name to something like _SA or _ZA.
Just for Google My Business.
Yeah. Not your whole business. Just Google My Business.
So I could have put Here Gear in brackets South Africa.
Rather use _.
_ South Africa.
Yeah, _SA. Yeah, SA or ZA.
Okay, thank you.
And the rest of the stuff you fill in is your actual business name, your actual address, so.
And if I put a space between here and gear, would that do the trick?
It might help.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions?
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Right, Tracy, over to you.
Thank you so much for an outstanding webinar. I see a number of participants have had to drop off because of our time. And I would like to thank you for the last 4 weeks of such incredible facilitation. The skills that you've taught us, the value that you've added to the program has been absolutely immeasurable. And I see Ellis on the screen and I see his audio on. So I'm going to ask Ellis to close the last 4-part digital boot camp for us today.
Okay, just to go on to AdWords, I've been playing with AdWords with different people for the last 10 years at least. Renata, what you did today increases the value of what I've been trying to learn over the last 10 years. Thank you very, very much. You really put it together, and you actually, by definition, dotted the I's and crossed the T's. So important. So important. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Renato, and we will be sending out the recording. If you still want to make a donation to OrbJet, I will include the link in the communication. And I thank you all for your valuable time, and it's been an absolute pleasure seeing you all each week for the last